Should you niche down or should you go broad with your AI automation agency? That's exactly what we're going to go ahead and cover in this video. You're going to go ahead and learn the pros and cons of each approach, how to assess which path is the right one for you, and what to consider if you are just starting your AI agency, because this is going to be one of the most important decisions that you make early on. So understanding this framework will save you months of trials and errors. And this exact document that we're going to cover and everything that you need to know on how to start and scale an AI agency is going to be available for you inside of our free school community. In here, you're going to get access to dozens of frameworks and SOPs, along with 50 plus detailed videos on exactly how to start and scale an AI automation agency. So if you're interested in joining, the link for that is going to be down below. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Now, in this video, we're going to go ahead and break down how to choose between a generalist approach and a niche approach as an AI growth consultant when you are first starting your AI automation agency, and essentially what each path means to your success. Here's what we're going to go over in this video. First is going to be the pros and cons of going broad versus going niche. We're also going to go ahead and cover how each approach impacts your pricing, your positioning, and your daily operations. We'll go over and give you a decision-making framework based on your experience, your goals in the market that you serve. We'll go over when and how to niche down after starting general, if you decide to go down that route. We'll go over some common mistakes agency owners make when picking a niche. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and give you a clear action to help you commit and build momentum. So I hope you watch this video in its entirety, because that's everything that we're going to go over. The first thing is going to be the general approach. Over here, you're essentially casting a wide net. The general approach is casting a wide net, quote unquote, and essentially working with anyone and everyone who can use your services. Here you have a set offer, but you are open to working with virtually any business in any niche or sub-niche, as long as your service offering can actually help them achieve the outcome for the problems that they are facing. That's essentially what we mean when we say the general going broad approach. What are the benefits of going broad? Well, number one, you're going to have maximum market access. By going broad, it lets you work with a wide range of businesses that need AI, from real estate agents to restaurants, giving you more opportunity and less dependency on a niche. The second is that it's going to give you diverse learning opportunities. You're going to gain insights into various industries, learning how different businesses operate and how AI can be applied across unique challenges and unique workflows. Because the idea of working with a real estate business is going to be different than that of working with a restaurant. So you're going to have a bunch of different diverse learning experiences working across multiple niches. It's also going to provide you flexibility and adaptability, while with a broad approach, you can easily shift your focus based on what's trending or profitable, allowing you to test and move quickly. So if you're working with anyone and everyone that needs your services, if a opportunity comes along or you realize this niche, there's something going on here that is going to give me a great outcome to generate them not only great results, but also make a lot of money doing so, well, you can easily adapt to that, right? Very flexible because you don't have a set ICP that you work with. And lastly, it's low barrier to entry. So you don't need to necessarily be an expert within a specific industry. You just need to have a solid understanding of the AI tools and solutions that you offer, and essentially how they can help general business problems. So low barrier to entry, you just really need to understand these are the services that I offer, this is how it helps a business, and you don't need to know much about that business in order to deliver those results, okay? So that is the benefits of going broad. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the broad, or in this case, general niche. Number one, the pro is you're gonna have large target audience. By not limiting yourself to just one niche, you can market your services to a much wider range of clients, which gives you a chance of landing deals versus being limited to, let's just say, chiropractors or roofers or e-commerce, so on and so forth. You have risk distribution. You're able to reduce your dependency on any single industry, which will help you stay stable even if one market slows down or becomes saturated. So if, let's say, you're working with real estate agents and for whatever reason, a lot of businesses do not need your services no more, maybe we go through a recession or whatever the case is, well, you're not going to have high risk because you're probably already working with other niches and you can essentially just adapt to that, versus working only with one niche and understanding just one niche, and then that niche, for example, has issues wanting your service because of the market or whatever factors, well, then now you're putting essentially your eggs in one basket. So here you're able to distribute your risk across multiple niches. Then you have skill development. So you're able to sharpen your ability to solve the different types of problems by working across industries, making you a well-rounded AI consultant. If you're working with all types of businesses and you crush it doing that, well, that's great because now you have these set of skills that work across different industries. Then you have market testing. So this approach lets you explore various industries to find which one you enjoy working with and which are the most profitable or the most responsive. If you go the general approach, you're going to realize, let's say after working with 10 clients within 5 different niches, you're going to realize which niche is easier, which niche is better, which niche is more profitable. And you're going to learn a lot about these different niches that you otherwise wouldn't if you were just working with one niche. So that is the pros of going general, which is going broad. Let's take a look at the cons. Number one, you're going to have diluted experience. So this means without a clear niche, it's harder to establish authority or be seen as an expert that clients trust for their specific needs. If you are a general doctor, it's hard for you to convince patients that need heart surgery for them to come to you and for you to be their doctor. Why? Because your experience is diluted. You can treat anybody, from someone that might have a backache, leg ache, earache, headache, so on and so forth. So that's what we mean by diluted experience. Then you have generic marketing. So your message may lack precision, making it tough to grab attention or deeply resonate with your audience. So in our case, we work specifically with real estate agents. So our messaging is straightforward, okay? If you look at our messaging here, we're talking to real estate agents and just real estate agents directly. So our messaging is very clear. We know exactly who we work with. This is exactly our ICP. So here, our message is not generic. Whereas if you're going the broad approach, it's generic and it makes it tough for you to grab attention and deeply resonate with people. It's far more appealing if you say, for example, we work with real estate agents transition into the AI age versus we work with every single local business and help them transition to the AI age. All right, so in one, the message is generic, and then in the other, it's more specific. You'll also have a longer sales cycle. So since you're not targeting a specific industry, you often have to educate prospects on both AI and how it fits into their unique business model, slowing down the sale. So this could also be vice versa. So yes, it could have a longer sales cycle, but maybe you're working in a niche that has a shorter sales cycle because they're already aware of AI and how it can help them. Right? Certain niches are going to take a long time to adapt to AI and understand it, so you need to educate them, versus others which are already very familiar. So for example, I would assume that online businesses, the sales cycle might be shorter because they might already be aware to AI and how it can help their business, versus a contractor who's like 55 years old, barely knows how to use their phone. You need to do a lot of educating there to explain to them how AI can help their business. So over here, you might have a longer sales cycle. You have price competition. That's another con. Generalists often get lumped into comparison with others and judge by the price, not by their expertise or niche specific value. So if you are a generalist, you might fall in the situation where your value is perceived as cheaper or as not as valuable because you don't just work with one person. For example, if you were to, using the same example, if you were to needed heart surgery and you go to, let's say, a general doctor, and you tell that general doctor, I'm willing to pay you $5,000 for the surgery, versus a heart surgeon who might say, this surgery is $20,000 because that is all I do, right? He can command higher prices because he's very specific with who he works with versus a general doctor who might have a general approach. So here, again, it might be the price competition. And everything that I'm listing out here, guys, like take it with a grain of salt. This does not mean this is the case across every single niche. It's just something to consider. Then you have scattered focus, and this right here, it means you're jumping between industries, and it can dilute your energy, making it harder to master one space and build systems or results that compound. For example, the great thing about going specific is in our case, when we're working with real estate agents, whatever we do for one real estate agent or real estate professional, we can essentially just go ahead and do the same for everyone else, okay? And that's the beauty about going niche versus having scattered focus when it comes to going general. So now let's talk about the niche. Okay, let's talk about the niche approach. We talked about the general, we talked about the pros, we talked about the cons. Now let's do the same when it comes to the niche approach. And over here, you're essentially dominating a vertical. You're going into one niche and you're trying to become the best person that can do that within that niche. Benefits of going niched. Here you're going to have deep insights. So focusing on one niche will allow you to deeply understand its unique challenges, the language, the regulations, making your solution far more relevant and trusted. For example, doctors, real estate agents, so on and so forth. So in our case, we could be the best agency, the best AI agency that works with real estate agents, because that is exactly who we help, and we don't help anybody else. So we get deep industry insights. We learn a lot of things that someone else who is a general, who has a general approach and might work with 20 clients and he just happens to land one real estate client, we're gonna have a lot more deeper insights because we experience and we face a lot of these things that our niche faces. You also get a replicatable system, excuse me. So what this means is that once you've built a working system for one client, you can easily duplicate and tweak it for others in the same industry. This saves you time and increase speed of delivery. This is called standardized delivery model, which is essentially a consistent approach to fulfilling the services at scale. Same exact idea here. If we do one thing for a real estate agent and they crush it, all we got to do is the same exact thing for another real estate agent, and the only difference would be they would be in a different jurisdiction, they would have different listings, but the entire process is essentially the same. 90% of what we did, all we got to do is just duplicate it for them. You also have premium positioning. There's a reason why we can charge $20,000 plus for our highest package, and that's because we are niche experts and we build authority and trust, making you top of mind providers clients seek when they need results. So when you're charging a lot, the value is perceived higher, and you can charge a lot for all these reasons that I just mentioned here. You also have compound learning. So with every client in the space, your knowledge and intuition about what works continues to sharpen, making your service better over time. If you're just working with one client and one client only, one niche and one niche only, there's a lot of things that you're going to learn, and all that compounds on one another. The first client that you service, and let's say you work with 20 clients afterwards, you're going to learn a lot within those 20 clients that you can then implement to the 21st client, which again, it's just compound learning. All right. So that is the benefits of going niche. Let's talk about the pros. Okay, what are the pros when you go niche? So the first thing is that you're specialized and seen as an expert, and you can charge significantly more than a generalist because your clients value deep, relevant expertise. Okay, if you are very specific of who you work with, you can essentially charge a lot more. You have faster sales cycle. So when you speak the language of the industry, prospects feel understood and they're most likely to say yes. If you get on a call with a specific ICP, let's say real estate agents, and you're mentioning all these different terminologies, you're going to have a faster sales cycle because they can see that you understand what you're talking about, versus getting on a call with someone and not understanding the different terms that niche might face. So you might have a higher sales cycle, a slower sales cycle there, excuse me. You have referral networks, so focusing on niche opens the door to warm referrals within the industry, creating a snowball effect of trust and opportunity. One thing I will tell you, if you're working with contractors have a lot of other friends who are contractors, and if they're doing a good job for them and they are not a competition to their friends, they would be more than happy to refer you to that person, okay? Because a lot of these people, they rely on trust, and if you're my friend and I tell you, hey, this guy helped me make a bunch of money, work with him, it's basically like a done deal at that point because they have someone that vouched for them. So it allows you to build referral networks. You also have continued content authority. You can create hyper-specific content that resonates deeply with your audience and position you as the go-to solution. If you're working just with kitchen remodeling or bathroom remodeling or solar, and you're creating content around that, well, you can own that space. You can create authority in that space because people remember you as the marketing guy that has an AI agency for the solar space, for example. You also have efficient operation. So you'll create repeatable systems, templates, and workflows tailored to that niche, saving you time and increase in delivery speed. Again, having a plug-and-play system allows your operations to be very repeatable and efficient. Then you have market leadership. So over time, your consistent focus and results may make you the top AI expert in that specific market. I'll tell you guys this, if anybody is going niche, if you're choosing one niche and you go all in on that niche, have your goal be to become the best person within that niche. Imagine, it's so much easier to, let's say, become the best AI agency within, let's say, the solar space versus the best AI agency within local business in general, right? Of course, it takes a lot of time to call yourself the best, but it's far more easier when you have a specific group of people that you work with because you don't have much competition at that point compared to working broad with every single business. That's the pros. Let's look at the cons. So first of all, you have limited market size. I don't think this is honestly a big issue, but when you're focusing on a niche, it reduces your potential to client pool, which makes it scaling challenging if the demand is low. So only if the demand is low. For example, if you're working with, let's say, solar companies, there's a lot of solar companies in the world that you can work with. It doesn't have to just be people within your jurisdiction. So this does limit your market size, but that is only if the demand is low. Then you have industry risk. If you choose a specific industry and it faces a downturn or regulation change, your entire business can be negatively impacted. So using the example earlier, if you're working with, let's say, real estate agents, and something happens to where regulations or something happens within the real estate market, if that hinders your ability to run an agency, well, now you're at risk. And that's the only niche that you've worked with, compared to the general approach where if something happens, you're already working with other niches, so it's easier for you to adapt. Then you have expertise requirements, so you'll need to invest significant time and effort to understand the industry's language, challenges, and workflows. So when I started working with real estate agents with MadPair AI, there was a lot of real estate jargon that I needed to understand, because if I'm going to get on a call with these guys and call myself the go-to guy for this niche, I need to understand the different terminologies. So there's somewhat experience required here, and I mean, I wouldn't say this should discourage you. It's a matter of just doing some research, spending a few hours to understand the lingo of your niche. Then you have pigeonholing. So this is a term essentially where you become too specialized and it makes it harder for you to pivot or expand into other markets in the future without starting over. If you are someone who can't adapt to changes, you might fall in this situation where you're like, I'm so specialized with real estate agents or with solar companies or with dental clinics that I don't even know where to begin working with another niche. Then you have market saturation. Popular niches can easily become crowded with service providers, increasing competition and making it harder to stand out. Look, I'll tell you this, the issue with this is if you're a commodity, if you're offering just a commoditized service, then you can worry about this market saturation. But if you are following the AI growth partner model as an AI growth consultant, I don't think you have an issue to worry about this. Because while everyone else is, let's say, offering voice agents to local businesses, in this case, let's say solar, you are offering services that solve for all the problems that your niche has. So you're not even competing with these guys. You're competing on a whole different level. So if you are following the protocols that we lay out in this AI course, which again is going to be linked down below, our free school community, you wouldn't have to worry about this. You wouldn't have to worry about being a commodity, which is probably the number one reason why most people won't succeed with building an agency, is because they are a commodity. So that is the pros and the cons of going niche. We went over the pros and cons of going general as well. Now let's talk about the decision framework. Okay, what do you need to consider to actually make a decision now that you understand this, the difference between the two? Well, over here, you're really going to need to have a self-assessment. You're going to need to ask yourself some questions. The first is going to be going over background and experience. So do you have experience in this industry? Meaning if you already have deep knowledge or working history in a specific field, choose that niche can give you a head start with credibility and fulfillment. We have one of our brothers in our mentorship program. His dad is a real estate agent, and he already knew a lot of things because he's done a lot of real estate stuff with his dad. So that made sense for him. It made sense for him to go into real estate because he already had somewhat of experience, and he has a father that he can literally ask these questions to. The next is going to be what your current network is like. So a strong circle of contacts in a particular industry gives you built-in traction, ideally for launching a niche offer with faster trust and referrals. Given again the same exact example of the brother in our mentorship program, the fact that he has a father, that's like the best person to have within your network with the niche that you're working with. And his father probably knows other realtors, right? So he already has a strong contact with a particular individual. So again, these are the questions that you should ask yourself. Also, how comfortable are you with uncertainty? Going broad means navigating various industries, learning on the fly, and adapting quickly. It suits those who thrive in unpredictability, changing environments, and so on and so forth. So this is something I see with a lot of people. Some people are not resourceful and they don't know how to use the internet for their own benefit. And then other people, they love the uncertainty. If they face a problem, they'll figure it out. They'll go to ChatGPT, they'll go to Google, and they'll figure it out. Well, if you are someone that is not comfortable with uncertainty, then that's definitely something that you need to consider when you are going broad. That's experiences and background. Let's talk about the self-assessment questions that you should ask from the perspective of goals and preference. Finance decisions. Do you prioritize higher rates, niche, or consistent volume? Go in general. Ideas like, do you want to be the person that works with a specific niche and charge a lot more? Or do you just want to have a bunch of volume, charge lower money, and go general? That's something to consider. Learning style. Do you prefer deep expertise or broad knowledge? If let's say you're going to go in solar, are you ready to understand a lot about solar? Or do you want to not learn a lot about the different niches and essentially go broad? You have risk tolerance. Are you comfortable with betting on one industry? Okay, so if you are, then that's definitely a question that will influence your decision. Now let's talk about market conditions. Self-assessment questions for market conditions. First is industry health. Is your potential niche growing or declining? So if your niche is declining, then stay away from it. For example, the NFT, right? NFT niche is like, it's not like what it was back in 2020, 2021. So if the answer is no here, then you definitely want to stay away from it. Competition level. How saturated is the general AI consulting space versus your target niche? And when we say saturated, we mean the offers, not necessarily the businesses themselves. Okay, is there a lot of people that are, let's say, pitching AI voice agents for car dealerships or for solar companies? I know right now it's being pitched a lot for car dealerships and med spas. So if that's the case, even if you are following the protocols that we lay out and you're not a commodity like everyone else, the fact that everyone else is in that space sounding the same is going to have an effect on you until the businesses discover that you actually went through our school community, went through the course, and are someone that can help them with end to end. But unfortunately, a small group of people can literally ruin it for everyone else. So this is something to consider when we say saturation. We're talking about specifically the offer. Then you have AI adoption stage. So what industries are early versus late in AI adoption? We have an entire video that talks about this. So I highly would recommend you guys watch that video. It's going to be in our school community as well. So let's talk about the decision matrix. Choose this if that, all right? So you should choose general if you are new to consulting and want to explore opportunities. So if you're new to like this AI business and calling yourself an AI consultant, AI growth partner, like if you're new to this business, well then you might want to choose general because you're open to exploring opportunities. Choose general if you have broad business experience but no deep industry specifications. If you're like, I have no experience about any niche, right? I just have experience about business, well, then you can choose general. If you prefer, choose general if you prefer variety and learning about different models. If you're like, man, I love the fact that I can learn about this niche and this business and that business, well, then in that case, you can choose general. Choose general if you have, if you're in a geographic area with diverse industry. So if, let's say you are in the city of San Francisco, I grew up there, and most of the people there are like in tech. So like everybody and their mom comes and they work in tech, right? So over there, it's like not very diverse versus you might be living in a rural area where they have all types of businesses, okay, and all types of, different industries, different niches. Well, in that case, that can be a reason why you would choose general. Choose general if you want a minimum risk while building foundational skills. So if you're like, you know what, I'm gonna have minimal risk, I might not be able to charge as much, but I'm going to build skills that I can translate into any business, well, then you can go ahead and choose general. Now, choose niche if you have 3+ years experience in a specific industry. I mean, honestly, this doesn't even have to be 3 years. This can be 1 year. So if you're like, yeah, I was like a real estate agent for a year, or I've been a real estate agent for a year, well, then choose that. Maybe you went door knocking to sell solar panels. Well, then choose that because you have experience with it, right? So if you have some experience in a specific niche, then it makes sense for you to choose that niche. Choose the niche approach if you can identify 3 to 5 specific AI use cases for that industry. I mean, I think this is something you can easily come out with. You can figure out like 3 to 5 use cases on literally how any business can use AI. You have the industry has budget for AI intuitive and growth potential. So choose the niche if your industry has the budget for AI and has growth potential. Maybe you're working with a company that that just raised a bunch of money. Well, in that case, they have a bunch of money to blow on marketing because their goal is to grow. Choose the general approach if you're comfortable with deeper consultative sales process. So if you're love the idea of sales and you love sales, definitely choose niche in that case because the sales process, as we have established, is much longer with the niche versus general. And lastly, you can choose niche to build premium referral-based businesses. If you are looking to be the go-to person, build a referral base, and charge premium pricing, then you can go with a niche. So I don't want you to make a decision just on any of these points. This is the decision-making matrix to give you an idea of like, okay, choose this if you have these. Choose this if you have these. So not one of these should influence you, but I'm pretty sure after watching this video in its entirety, you're like, okay, I have an idea and I see why I would choose general. Here's the thing, there's no right or wrong between choosing general and a niche. You just have to make a decision off of something. Like the decision that you make to go with either or has to be logical, and then you just go into it and don't second think it, all right? So now let's talk about the hybrid approach, which is best of both worlds. Essentially, this is working with both working with general and working with niche, which by the way, we had another video that we recorded that talks about local and online. And then this video talks about general and niche. So if you haven't watched that, if you're like, should I work with local or online? Definitely check out that video because we cover just like this, but from the perspective of choosing local and or online business. So what is the hybrid approach? Well, the hybrid approach is strategic sequencing. So phase one, so you start general to gain experience and identify opportunities. You decide to work with the general approach or have the general approach where you're working with any business and then you identify certain opportunities. Maybe you realize that I worked with 10 clients, 3 of them were solar companies. I love working with solar for XYZ reason, right? So you're going to gain you're going to identify different opportunities there. Phase two, you're going to notice patterns in most successful engagements. One thing that I realized, it's far much easier to talk to contractors versus, let's say, dental clinics. So that's a pattern that we realized from our students. When you're going the hybrid approach, you can realize that, these people are easier to deal with. Phase three, gradually niche down based on the results and preferences. Based on the results that you get people, you can go ahead and niche down because you went the hybrid approach. And then phase four, dominant, you're choosing vertical while maintaining single general capabilities. So let's talk about niche stacking, okay? So niche stacking here, you essentially stack different niches. You're like, okay, I'm not gonna work with everybody, but I'm going to work with at least 3 niches, okay? So for example, you're like, I'm working with home services like here, dental and online businesses, right? So you stack a few different niches together, which is again a hybrid approach. You're doing both at the same time. You want to develop expertise in 2 to 3 related niches. So yeah, I should mention it should be related. So if you're doing online, I don't think this is related to dental or home services, but maybe you're doing home services, and home services you're doing HVAC, you're doing roofing, you're doing solar. All of those fall under the same exact thing. Maybe within construction, you're dealing with 3 different sub-niches within the construction niche, which by the way, we have a list of niche right here, both for local and for online. So inside our school community, you can get access to this and you can see, depending on if you're going local or if you're going online, you can get access to this exact document to give you an idea of the different niches that you can get into. So for example, you can see here, if you're going in law firms, well, you could help law, you could stack the niches, law firms for real estate, law firms from criminal defense, law firms for family. Right? That's probably not the best example, but you get the idea. You have a list here that can help you make that decision. Then we talk about create synergy between adjacent markets. So if you're, let's say, working with home services, you have bathroom remodeling, kitchen remodeling, you have solar, and maybe you have HVAC. There's synergy there, right? All of these fall under the same niche. They're all sub-niches which are under the same niche, in this case, home services. And then reduce risk while maintaining specialized benefits. So when you're doing niche stacking, it allows you to reduce the risk that we mentioned, but it also allows you to specialize within a set of different niches, okay? So this is the hybrid approach and essentially niche stacking and how you can stack expertise within a few niches versus just one. So what is the action plan to make a choice? As I told you guys in the beginning of the video, this is a detailed, comprehensive guide. And again, if you want access to this document, it'll be linked in our school community. Here's the exact action problems now that you understand all this and exactly what you need to do after watching this video. The immediate steps is number 1, audit your assets. So list your industry expertise, network, or existing relationships. As we discussed earlier, if you have industry experience, maybe you have a network, maybe you have existing relationships, audit your assets. Number 2, market research. Identify 3 potential niches and analyze their AI readiness and budget. You can get access to this exact document to give you an idea of the different types of niches and sub-niches, okay? Then over here, we say test the waters. Take on 2 to 3 projects in your potential niche area. You need to understand that you're not married to a specific niche, guys. You can always switch, okay? And it's just a matter of changing maybe your landing page, changing your offer. But the idea is that most of these businesses need the same services, especially if you are approaching it like how we teach, which is as an AI growth consultant, not as a commodity offering voice agents, either figuring out all the problems that a business have and solving for it. Then next step here, number 4, is create content. So start producing industry-specific AI-related content to gauge the response. I know you're probably like, oh man, I don't want to record content. Guys, If you really want to crush this, record content. And we go over all that in a lot more detail along with in our weekly one-on-one call, which again happens in our Skool community. So create content around this. Maybe you can upload some reels and you can see like, wow, when I uploaded a reel for this niche, it took off. So that's one way you can essentially test it. Set review points. Plan quarterly assignments to evaluate your chosen path. So if you decide to, let's say, you know what, I'm going to go with solar, that's my niche, or I'm going general, or I'm going niche, whatever you decide to do based on the information that we provided, plan quarterly assessments. Say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to work on this and just this. And after 3 months, go back and look, what happened here? How did we improve, right? So make sure that you review your progress every month or every quarter. These are success metrics to track. Okay, so track these metrics. Okay, the first is going to be client acquisition cost. How much effort is it taking you to land clients? Maybe you tried different niches and it's costing you much cheaper to land clients in one niche versus the other. Well, that's something that you should understand. Average project value. Are you commanding premium prices? If you're working with one niche versus the other, does one niche allow you to charge a lot more, or do they charge a lot less than another niche? Referral rate. How often do clients refer others? You're working with multiple niches. You realize that one niche is referring you more clients, right? Content engagement. If you're uploading content, is your audience growing and engaging? Maybe you're recording content and it's not getting any traction compared to the content that you record about another niche. And then personal satisfaction. Overall is like, do you enjoy the work and do you see growth? Okay, I never make this the number one priority, because at the end of the day, I don't care if I enjoy working with real estate agents, as long as number one, I can generate them great results, and number two, it makes me money. That's all that matters, because I'm not married to, am I like working with the niche that I love? Like, it doesn't have to be like that. Now, if that's the case, that's great. But one thing I realized is if I'm generating someone money, I'm putting food on the table for them, they're genuinely happy with my services, and they're paying me good money to do so, I'm going to be personally satisfied with that. As long as, as a Muslim, as long as it falls within Islamic values, that I'm not advertising half-naked chicks or anything like that. So I don't want you to have to love the niche that you're in, because personal satisfaction, personally for me, comes from number one, generating my clients great results, and number two, being able to make a lot of money from it. So my conclusion, here's the main takeaway, is there's no universal right choice, okay? Only what's right for your situation and your goals. There's really no right or wrong, which is why when I was drafting this video, I really wanted to not tell you, like, as you can see, I've never told you do this niche or do that niche or go broad or go specific. Rather, I try to give you a framework to follow so that you can then go ahead and make your own educated decision based on the information provided to you. The second thing is encouragement. You can always pivot and adjust as you gain experience. Don't feel like you're married to this niche. You can always transition. Next is next step. So choose one approach and commit to testing it for 90 days. So just choose something based on the information I provided you, based on the self-assessment that we went over here, and then just do it for the next 90 days and see what happens. So here are some a bonus for you. So common mistakes to avoid. Number one is the mushy middle. So trying to do both general and niche simultaneously. Choose something and start with it. The hybrid, you guess you can do that. The hybrid approach, you can do that. But with the hybrid approach, you're still niche stacking, so you're not like super broad. You're still broad in the sense that you have more than one niche. Analysis by paralysis. This is something that happens to a lot of you guys. I know we have students in our mentorship program that it's like, dude, just choose your business name, choose a logo, right? Don't let it take you a week to come up with this stuff. Same exact idea here. You don't want to spend too much time researching. Instead, take action. I genuinely believe that after watching this video, you should be able to maybe spend 1 to 2 hours to do some research based on the information provided, and then you can make the decision right then and there. It should not take you more than 2 hours after watching this video and doing 2 hours of research to choose your niche, okay? Why? Because you're gonna fall into analysis paralysis, where you basically handicap yourself to making a decision. Next, you have niche too narrow. So choose a market too small to sustain a business. You might choose a niche that's like too narrow. For example, this is probably not the best example, but maybe it is a good example. Like, you don't want to choose freight companies, like those ships that transport stuff from from one part of the world to the other. I think there's like probably less than 100 different companies that do that. So like, that's something that you obviously wouldn't want to choose because it's too small and they're not working with people like you and me, rather, they are working with different types of businesses. And then ignoring market signals, not adjusting based on real client feedback and results. Don't make the same mistake that I made when I ran an SMMA for a year and a half to almost 2 years, of like just being in this cycle, this flywheel of the broken SMMA retainer model, which actually is what gave birth to making the transition to AI, or really just the growth partner model in general. I was just stuck in this cycle where I'm just listening to what everyone else is saying, and I'm in this cycle of like this broken SMA retainer model, and I was ignoring the market signals. I wasn't aware. My self-awareness of like what's going on with my business was not there, because I was just listening to feedback from people rather than looking internally, listening to my clients, looking at the data, and understanding why am I still in the same position. So don't make that mistake. Make sure that you get client feedback and feedback on your results. This is why it's important to choose an approach and then go all in with it for the next 90 days. And then make sure that you plan quarterly assessments. Make sure you're going back and you're like, okay, what did we do this quarter, right? What can I extract from this quarter that will give me insights on what I need to adjust? So this has been the niche versus general approach. I hope this is the last video that you'll ever have to watch on should I go niche or should I go general. Again, the same exact document along with 50 other videos on how to start and scale an AI agency. Very detailed, just like this video, is going to be linked down below in our free school community. So go ahead and get access to that. I'll look forward to seeing you there, and I'll see you in the next video.